I'd like to call the meeting to order. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have the roll call, Ms. Stanforth?
Ms. Hairston?
Present.
Mr. Williamson?
Present.
Mr. Corrado?
Present.
Ms. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Hoagie?
Present.
Ms. Howard?
Present.
Mr. Lumpkin? Ms. Matthew Stinson?
Present.
Mr. Wexler?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have the approval of the consent agenda. The agenda was sent to you in advance. If there are any questions or changes, I'd like to hear it now.
I believe on the new business item, we have one additional item that we'll have to add.
Correct. We will be adding one item as new business. Any other changes? We will consider the agenda approved as submitted with the addition of a new item. Approval for the February minutes. The minutes of the meeting of February 5th were presented for review to all board members prior to today's meeting. Unless there is any board member who requests a reading of the minutes, I will ask if there are any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented. Having heard no requests for a reading of the minutes nor any corrections or additions, the minutes stand approved as presented. We'll start now with the committee reports. And Mr. Williamson, if you would mind handling the Finance Personnel Committee, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be glad to. The Finance Personnel and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on March 20, and as a result, the Finance Personnel Committee is recommending 2 action items for the board's consideration. Action item number 2, the purchase of steel strain trolley poles. The purpose of this procurement is to contract with a vendor for the purchase of steel strain trolley poles for the Greater Dayton RTA. This project is consistent with RTA's core values of safety, integrity, and stewardship as we demonstrate our commitment to improve the overhead trolley system infrastructure. These poles will be utilized for anticipated upcoming infrastructure projects over the next 5 years. The successful vendor will provide the steel strain poles per RTA's specifications to successfully fulfill our needs for the next 5 years. The poles will be delivered to RTA and then be moved to the designated installation points as needed. The steel strain trolley poles will be received and stored as inventory and will be expensed to the various projects as they are used. The actual quantities ordered could fluctuate up and down depending upon our needs. The unit cost will remain the same no matter how many poles are ordered. In accordance with the FTA accounting standards, these poles will be originally purchased with local funds and placed in inventory. As they are used, they will be charged to the proper capital or operating accounts, at which time FTA will reimburse us 80% of the cost. Mr. Bob Rudzinski provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information regarding quantities and unit costs is included in today's board package. Bob is here and available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to approve a contract award to Becker Electric for the purchase of steel strain poles for a total of $6,267,391 and to ratify the amount of $94,910 previously spent with Pathmaster for a grand total of $6,362,301.
I'll second that.
It has been properly moved and second that action item number 2, the purchase of steel strand poly trolley poles, be approved. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carries. Action item number 2, purchase of steel strain trolley poles is approved.
Action item number 3, Trapeze OPS Workforce Management. Trapeze Software Group is the sole provider of the Trapeze OPS software. In early 2017, RTA replaced the OPS dispatch timekeeping system into production status. In September 2017, the board approved a total of $148,700 in funds for Trapeze professional and technical services for the creation of additional reports, testing, and implementation services for the OPS workforce management, the attendance tracking system, and other Trapeze OPS and PASS needs. The award included a $25,000 allowance for workforce management due to refined requirements that were not yet identified. As part of the OPS workforce management implementation, software gaps were found during the project design review meetings and discussions with RTA. It was found that complex customizations would be necessary to fill the gaps between the base system and RTA's needs, and the cost would exceed the allowance the board previously awarded. Mr. Tim Harrington provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Tim is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to award a contract to Trapeze Software Group Incorporated in the not-to-exceed amount of $146,706 for the purchase of Trapeze professional services for workforce management. This procurement will be funded with 80% federal grant funds.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second that action item number 3, Trapeze OPS Workforce Management Services, be approved. Question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carries. Action item number 3, Trapeze OPS Workforce Management Services will be approved.
Madam President, there are no further action items from the Finance Personnel Committees. However, there are some additional items to mention. The December 2018 sales tax update was presented at the committee meeting, which brought to a close all of the updates for the calendar year 2018. At our meeting, Ms. Stanforth reported that for the month of December 2018, sales tax receipts equaled $3,725,417, and State of Ohio transitional aid of $172,957. This grand total of $3,898,374 reflects a 9.5% or $409,000 decrease versus December 2017. When compared to the December 2018 budget, we are down $52,862 or 1.3% compared to budget. Year-to-date December 2018 sales tax receipts equal $38,169,646, and State of Ohio transitional aid of $3,963,114. The year-to-date grand total of $42,132,760 reflects a 0.1% or $33,813 increase versus year-to-date December 2017. When compared to year-to-date December 2018 budget, we are up $378,760, or 0.9%, just 0.1% less than 1% positive variance above what we budgeted. Ms. Stanforth also reported the February 2019 financial statements. And for the month of February 2019, RTA's net loss after local depreciation is $110,770, compared to a budgeted net loss of $312,212. Operating revenues were down $29,000, or 4% below budget. Operating expenses, excluding depreciation, were $175,000, or 3% below budget. RTA local depreciation expense was equal to budget, while non-operating revenues expenses were $56,000, or 1% better than budget. RTA's year-to-date net loss after local depreciation is $947,133, compared to year-to-date budgeted loss of $1,403,291. Operating revenues were $71,000, or 5% above budget. Operating expenses, excluding depreciation, were $219,000, or 2% below budget. RTA local depreciation expense was $11,000, or 3% over budget. And finally, non-operating revenues were $177,000, or 2% better than budget. The details and variance explanations associated with these financial statements are included in today's board meeting package. Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Planning Committee. Ms. Howard.
Yes, the Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on March 20th, and as a result, the Planning Committee is recommending 2 action items for the board's consideration. Action item number 4, connect paratransit mobility providers. Mr. Brandon Polachicchio explained that on June 20th, 2017, the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority Board of Trustees approved a 5-year contract for paratransit services to Anton's Cab Service, LLC, and Dayton Fast Cab, LLC, at an estimated total aggregate cost of $200,000 per year, for a total estimated aggregate award not to exceed $1 million over the 5-year period ending in 2022. To date, RTA has spent $50,345 of the total awarded budget for this procurement. While the 2017 procurement has assisted in the delivery of paratransit services to date, it does not provide RTA the ability to respond to the ongoing growth in paratransit ridership. Currently, RTA's existing providers are unable at times to meet the demand and/or are unable to assist with same-day services. In addition, both providers are unable to serve customers utilizing mobility devices, also known as non-ambulatory customers. Therefore, in order to meet RTA's current and expected increase for services and acquire providers who can serve non-ambulatory customers, RTA developed and sought out services through a new request for proposal, which will allow RTA to add qualified providers as needed throughout the duration of the remaining 3-year period. This project is consistent with RTA's core value of quality service, as we recognize our customers as our highest priority. Mr. Polachicchio provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Brandon is available to answer any questions you may have. Based upon the recommendation of the Planning Committee, I move to award Anton's Cab Service, Go Ride Health, LLC, Owl Incorporated, and Universal Transportation Systems at an estimated total aggregate cost of $333,333 per year for a total estimated aggregate award not to exceed $1 million for the 3-year period. Funds will be allocated to providers based on the operating needs of the RTA, cost of services, and the availability of providers. In addition, that the Chief Executive Officer is authorized to carry out all actions necessary to add additional qualified providers as needed throughout the duration of the contract period.
I'll second.
It has been properly moved and second that action item number 4, Connect Paratransit Mobility Providers, be approved. Question. All in favor, say aye. No. All opposed? All opposed? Same. Abstentions. Motion carries by the board. Action item number 4, Connect Paratransit Mobility Providers, has been awarded.
Action item number 5, on-demand mobility access. Mr. Polachicchio explained that the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority is seeking to enter into partnership agreements with qualified mobility providers to support the RTA On-Demand Mobility Access Pilot Program with a unified goal of enhancing and increasing mobility access within the region. This project is consistent with RTA's core value of quality service. On April 4th, 2017, the Board of Trustees authorized RTA to enter into a partnership agreement with transit network providers and other transportation providers. The goal of this pilot program is to enhance and increase mobility access in previously unserved and underserved areas in the county. On August 7, 2018, the Board of Trustees approved amendments to the program, which included changes to the program structure and extension of the program for an additional year to June 2020. Therefore, in order to facilitate the expansion of the program, proposals were solicited and sent to 24 providers, and a recommendation is being made for 3 respondents to the solicitation. On-demand mobility access providers will be paid with restricted local operating funds. The anticipated budget for on-demand mobility access will be an estimated total of $600,000 a year through June 2020. A total of $100,000 was made available under the pilot program. To date, RTA has spent $68,762 of the total awarded budget for this procurement. Future budgets will be approved by the Board of Trustees as part of the annual budget process based on estimated need, thereby allowing for flexibility in annual amounts. Mr. Polachicchio provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Brandon is available to answer any questions you may have. Based upon the recommendation of the Planning Committee, I move to award Go Ride Health, LLC, Anton's Cab Service, LLC, and Lyft Incorporated for a total estimated award not to exceed $600,000 through June 2020. Funds will be divided as needed between the current and future number of providers and based upon customer choice of provider. In addition, that the Chief Executive Officer is authorized to carry out all actions necessary to add additional qualified providers as needed throughout the duration of the contract period.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that action item number 5, on-demand mobility access, be approved. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carries. Action item number 5, on-demand mobility access, is approved.
In addition, at the committee meeting, Mr. Polachicchio provided a summary document of recent activities in the Customer and Business Development Department. These activities included Trivia Flyer Night, an update on the What Drives You campaign, and Black History Month celebration efforts that were on display during the entire month of February. This concludes my report, Madam President. Brandon or I will be available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Investment Advisory Committee. Mr. Wecker, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. The Investment Advisory Committee met on February 14th for an informative session regarding RTA's investment portfolio, current topics in the investment arena, and sales tax revenue. The committee does not have any action items today. However, there are informational items to share. Ms. Stanek began her presentation with an economic update. With regard to U.S. domestic growth, the Federal Reserve median projection is 2.3% for 2019. This is lower than 2018's actual growth of 3%. Recent U.S. trade tariffs are one major factor impacting our economy. Looking out, the Federal Reserve median projection is 2.0% for 2020 and 1.8% for 2021. Ms. Stanek stated that even though the economy has slowed, it is not likely the U.S. will have a recession in the next couple of years. With regard to oil and diesel fuel pricing, since our October 2018 Investment Advisory Committee meeting, prices have decreased significantly. At October's meeting, prices averaged $2.50 per gallon. Mid-February 2019, we are at $1.50 per gallon. Factors affecting price include China has shown less demand for fuel and U.S. domestic production has increased. The U.S. is not as resilient as other countries for fuel as we have been in the past. Ms. Stanek presented the Federal Open Markets Committee's FOMC December 2018 meeting highlights. For the fourth time in 2018, the committee voted to raise the Fed funds target range to 2.25% minus 2.5 to 2.5%. The decision to raise at the December meeting was a unanimous decision in favor of the rate hike. Inflation remains near 2%, while longer-term inflation expectations are little changed. Labor market conditions have continued to strengthen, and economic activity has been rising at a strong rate, with the unemployment rate remaining low. The Fed's statement was dovish, and it appears FOMC members are anticipating 2 rate hikes in 2019, down from the previous dot plot projection of 3 rate hikes. The committee judges that risks to the economic outlook are roughly balanced, but will continue to monitor global economic and financial developments. Regarding the U.S. unemployment rate, we continue to have a full employment state, with employers finding it difficult to hire qualified employees. Ms. Stanek reported the par value of RTA's investment portfolio is $32.83 million and carries a weighted average maturity of 1.74 years. The weighted average yield of the portfolio is 1.74%, and 2018 annual interest income was $571,312. The portfolio performed better than expected when compared to budget. Meter's recommendation to the committee include recent trends in inflation and slowing global growth support the Federal Reserve becoming more patient in increasing the federal funds rate. The market is anticipating no increases in 2019 and an increased probability of a rate cut in 2020. Given this outlook for rates, Meter recommends extending the core portfolio, cash flow permitting. Commercial paper continues to provide excess yield to the portfolios over alternative short-term products. Therefore, Meter recommends continuing to build the allocation to commercial paper. Committee members unanimously agreed with Meter's recommendations. This will be the path followed until the next committee meeting. Ms. Stanford, and other items during the meeting, Ms. Stanford stated October 2018 receipts are $50,000 or 1.6% higher than budget. January through October 2018 receipts are $157,000 or 0.5% lower than budget. Our next committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 18th, 2019.
Thank you for your report. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go to the next agenda item. Executive CEO, would you please give your report?
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a number of informational items to report. I'm really glad that Lowell Harris is in the room today. those of you that don't know Lowell, he's one of our shift supervisors and probably our biggest fan of trolley buses. I might be exaggerating the last part of that comment. So I wanted Lowell to be one of the first to hear that Next Gen number 1 is due to arrive here in a few weeks. It'll take longer than that to get it on the street. We've got a lot of testing and other things to do before it gets going. The second unit is in Atlanta, so the build is underway there, and it'll start ramping up throughout the year. We hope to receive as many as 17 by the time winter hits again here in Dayton, Ohio. So we're very excited about that. I would say in the 13 years I've been here, one of the things that we've had a difficult time doing is divesting in some of our real estate investments. And I'm very pleased to announce that we have done away with some real estate with the signature by me this afternoon. It's our Conover Street property that we've had since the 2003 celebration time period. We have not used it in my time here, and we've made multiple attempts to move that property. But one of the neighbors is, I believe it is one of the neighbors, right, Bob, has agreed to take it on. So as of today, we signed that property away. I know Franz has been waiting years for me to say that. So that is good news, really is. So the great news of the week, of course, is the state budget for transportation. And I'm sure you've been reading about it in the media. Overnight, some of my friends got their hands on the actual bill that was signed. There's a great amount of work to do, but as of the moment, the bill contains, and it was signed by the governor, $70 million for public transit in general revenue fund dollars. Now, that's kind of a surprise in this process that happened in the conference committee. Those are much more flexible dollars, but we're a long way from knowing how they'll be divided and who will get what. There's also still a listing in the signed bill for flex funds. The only funds we've been eligible for in recent years were, they're actually federal highway funds that are flexed over. Last year, I believe it was $33 million. We did get a chunk of it for bus replacement. It's showing 33 or 35 million still in the bill. That would put us over $100 million each year for the next 2 years in total transit funding for the state. You may recall our goal was $185 million. $105 million would be triple what it was, more than triple than what it was last year. So it's very good news. There are many details to work out. I spent about 2 hours with Chuck Dyer from the Office of Transit of ODOT yesterday before I left Columbus, and they're very open to working with all of us on how the money will be divided once that's done. There's some concern being expressed that because of these general revenue dollars will come to play in the real estate budget, the big budget, and there was some fear that, could they be zeroed out during that process? I guess technically, legally, that could happen, but it's highly unlikely, as we understand it, that would happen. Bottom line is, the final will be in late June when they actually approve the complete state budget. But this is a better place than we've been in my 13 years here. So I'm very excited about that, and we'll keep watching it very closely. We continue every week to get good news stories about the flyer. We had another business that relocated to downtown here recently. I think they might be across the street in a building that Dave may be familiar with. And they're raving about the service. They really love it. So that's really great. We continue to get those, and that's good. We also get probably every other week a request to expand that service. That is what we typically call a good problem, but certainly a problem right now. So we're taking a look at everything, but it has been very well received. And finally, some really good people news for RTA. Yesterday, in the board meeting for the Ohio Public Transit Association, Jessica Olson was selected to be the new chair of our statewide marketing committee. So she will take that on. In local news, Mr. Roland Caldwell has been asked to and appointed to now the board of the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company. And I didn't know he had those talents, but I know Roland got to meet a lot of the folks during the special service we provided this year for the event, the national event that was hosted here, international. So that's good. And finally, The highlight of the Ohio Public Transit ODOT Annual Conference for most of us was an award called the Leonard Ronas Award. This is an award that goes to one person each year in the state of Ohio. It is considered the Transit Person of the Year, the person who does the most for the industry. It's named after Leonard Ronas, who was the original public CEO of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority and was instrumental in establishing our state association. The recipient of that award this year is our own Bob Brzezinski, and we were thrilled to be there on hand to see Bob receive that award. So that's all I have to report unless there are questions.
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I think it might be important if we pull all of this together. You know, we've heard such wonderful news about the amount of money we've gotten from the federal government. We hear of millions of dollars. And I guess this is really for our audience who is not intimately involved with the RTA. And we've also talked about the fact that we're getting a lot of new buses. But that doesn't pay for 100% of our buses. We still have to pay at least 80% of every bus that we buy. And as Mark mentioned, there are a lot of buses coming on stream this year. So all of these investments that you presently see, and I have to take my hat off to the management present and going back several years for accumulating the cash that allows us to pay for those buses. But you will see in the future that the amount of cash that we have will go down dramatically. There's an old adage that says, money talks. It always says goodbye. And in the next year, it really will be saying goodbye to us. And so with all of the millions you hear that are coming in, there are millions that's going out at the other end. And I don't want people to get the impression that we're just rolling in money. And a lot of the dollars that we get have to be used strictly to buy assets. They cannot be used for the daily operations, for salaries, for overhead, and things of that nature. So that continues to be our challenge. And that's why we're directly reliable upon the sales tax. And you get all the information of where we think the economy goes because it has a direct correlation to what happens with sales tax. If the economy increases, sales tax goes up. If the economy decreases, the amount of sales tax we collect goes down. And you could see big major swings. And we are troubled by what is projected for this year. And as was mentioned, but I think with all the numbers you might have lost it, is that we are projecting a loss for this year. So while the RTA is looking very, very carefully how to save costs and how to prevent that loss from getting bigger, or even how do you diminish that loss, I just wanted to make sure with all these big numbers that are being tossed around and all the good news that is there, we really have a challenge ahead now in 2019 and into the future. So forgive the verbosity of my comments, but I thought it's important to at least explain some of these numbers, given the magnitude of the numbers we are hearing.
If I could add to that, we maximize the amount of federal funds we can use for day-to-day operations every year. We use all we can. And I would credit the board and the prior board members who, starting about 12 years ago, saw this need to invest in our assets, in both our facilities, which were aging significantly, and of course the bus fleet, and then the biggest chunk being the electric bus fleet. We now have 21-year-old buses operating in the facility behind us, and to have that foresight and understand that as tough as times have been over the years, we had to make preparations for that, and we've already significantly spent down the reserves because of all the deliveries on the new assets we've taken. We have more new things coming in the next couple of months, and then over the next 2 years, the electric fleet, and then the capital program will take a nosedive, but then our reserves will be there. And I hope everybody was paying attention when they saw sales tax is already down, and if it weren't for the transitional aid, which has gone away now, we don't have any news on new transitional aid. That's going to be the big issue going forward. But I do think it's critical that we do what we're doing and make sure we have good, sound assets for this organization, because it's going to be here for years, and then we fight the battles as we need to, as we did at the state level, and we'll take advantage of what we get from that as best we can. But you're right, it's not the end-all, be-all. We still have challenges to go, and there are a lot of people in this room, and I would be at the front of the line. I would like to be back to the level of service we had in late 2006. We are far below those levels, and I think the study we're doing, the What Drives You study, is going to demonstrate that there is a pent-up demand for a lot of additional service. So hopefully we can get there. But I actually appreciate you making the comments because, yes, people see a lot of shiny new buses right now, but that's a planned effort. And being a person who in the late 1980s joined an organization that just let it all fall apart and spent almost 10 years in crisis trying to get a fleet back together, I'm glad we've had strong leadership at the board to help us prepare, and good people like Bob who can help us find monies on the federal side to get these things done.
Thank you both for your comments. Any others? Moving on to old business. Is there any old business that we need to address at this time? Any new business?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's right. There is a new business item.
There's a guy in the back that wants you to vote on something, I know that. So I'd be happy to take that one.
Would you like to?
Sure.
Go ahead and take that.
New business item number 1 is a memorandum of understanding with ATU Local 1385. On March 21 of 2018, the Board of Trustees in a special meeting ratified a tentative agreement with ATU Local 1385 to amend Article 9, Healthcare Insurance Benefits Plan of our labor agreement. This agreement allowed for further discussion of the health insurance issue in the fall of the year. Following lengthy good faith negotiations between the parties, a tentative agreement was reached with Local 1385 on March 21st, 2019. Interesting, same date. I am recommending to the board that you approve or ratify the amendment to the agreement and that you authorize me to take the necessary actions that will result in changes to our health care plan. And finally, I want to thank Gerald Duncan and the rest of the leadership of Local 1385 for their good faith efforts to come to the table and talk to us and reach a plan that's better for the employees that both parties can support.
I move that we approve the amendment to the agreement and that we authorize the CEO to take the necessary actions to make the resulting changes in the health care plan.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that the new business item number 1, memorandum of understanding with ATU Local 1385 be approved. Question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. New business item number 1, memorandum of understanding with ATU Local 1385 is approved. I would like to thank also the union for their leadership and resolution of this item. We know that this was not an easy decision, and it's not an easy one to complete. So again, thank you to the union as well as to our people that got this done. Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comments. I have before me the request for public comments. I'd like to mention that only citizens who have completed and whose name appear on the public comment registration form may address the board. I have received 6 requests. Anyone wishing to address the board must speak on their own behalf. After being recognized to speak, you must state your name and address, and after doing so, you will have 3 minutes to make your comments. When 30 seconds remain, a yellow light will come on. When 3 minutes are up, a red light will come on and you must cease speaking. Thank you for your cooperation in advance. The first person I have to speak is Loretta Washington. And a microphone will be brought to you.
Project mobility, and that
Would you start, I'm sorry, but could you start by stating your name and address first? Sorry.
Hi, my name is Loretta Washington. I live at 6217 North Main Street, apartment 321. I've been riding Project Mobility for 26 years. I've been on dialysis since 1993. So I've been riding to dialysis and to doctors and other trips. This year have been the worst. They left me, I missed a treatment. They left me, I missed a treatment. I had one of the supervisor to tell the driver to leave me. But overall, it hasn't been too bad. And I don't understand why they can't pick up a patient when they drop one off. We have to sit so long for our ride to come.
Thank you. When that happened, did you call and report it, that you had been missed?
I called the supervisor several times,
Okay.
trying to find out where my ride was.
Okay, so somebody will get with Mrs. Washington and address that.
And the
Someone will
driver
get with
said
you.
he called in and told them that he wasn't gonna make it.
Okay. We'll have someone speak with you. The next person that is on the list is Ms. Smothers.
My name is Sandra Smothers. I live 6217 North Main Street, apartment 124. And I'm here today to say something about this Connect Paratransit bullcrap. First of all, Antoine's cab is not reliable. I don't know why y'all voted on it, but that's y'all. But I'm gonna tell you, we can't even, half the time, we can't climb up in those vans. They're not equipped for people with some walkers or wheelchairs. On top of that, some of the drivers are nasty. They'll pull up, they don't get out the van and ring your buzzer. If you ain't sitting out there, they'll pull off and leave and no-show you. And with this Connect Paratransit, the drivers are getting cussed out. I've been on the bus when one lady got on the bus and cussed out the driver. And I told him to shut up. It's not the driver's fault because we're late picking you up. It's getting ridiculous. People are walking up and down out there in Clayton to walk to the bus stops, to get up to the hub, to get a bus. It's ridiculous. The drivers are wore out. I've got on the bus, drivers are tired. It's getting ridiculous. This is something that should have never got started. If y'all want to do Connect Paratransit, y'all need to get a special bus for it. Or put 34 back out there in Clayton, because it's ridiculous. And for my part, if my mother or my father was on that bus and they cussing like that, I wouldn't put up with it. Some of them school kids that ride from CTC, they're cussing people out. It's not right. And you don't know whether they got a gun or a pistol or a knife on them. They could hurt the driver or hurt the passengers. My life is not going to be in jeopardy fooling with them teenagers. And that's all I got to say for now.
Okay, next person on the request form is Mary Miller.
Hello, my name is Mary Miller. Address 27 South Fairgreen Drive, Dayton, Ohio 45416. My concern is some of the transactions that are taking place with the paratransit bus. Since 34 has been decommissioned, 41 and 42, a lot of the people have been told they can get to a hub, they will provide transportation. And they're being provided transportation through the Project Mobility buses. I know you all have opened it up to on-demand, but this is a little bit past on-demand. These people have not been certified, nor do they respect the drivers, as Ms. Sandra attested to. She was on the bus when it happens. People are getting to their appointments late, or in some cases, they're being picked up early, and then when they get to the destination early and they can't be left, they're being sent home for made-up reasons that are slanderous and just plain ridiculous. And then everybody wants to apologize and pass out bus tickets. And all this free transportation, you need to look at allowing the Dayton Public School and some of the other school districts to provide transportation to their students. Because Dayton Public Schools is going to hell on the handbasket because these kids can't afford to come to school. Their parents have to work. By the time they get the bus to work, there's no money left in the budget to get the child to school. So, as they used to do, invest in your school districts. Give them a discount. Work out something. Everybody's budget's got a full basket, and these kids are suffering for it. Y'all need to come together and provide for them. All this, we're doing this and we're doing that. Put your heads together and come up with what would help the kids, because they're the ones that are not going to be able to work in the workforce as it's coming along. And CTC is out there. These kids can't get there. They can't afford it. I would offer help, but you all did away with the RTA committee with Community Action Partnership at the board's request, or someone's requested RTA. The kids, they have no one to talk to. No one's paying them any attention. You all need to take a look where you need it and where you can afford to put some of these tax revenue dollars that they help provide. Because every child buys something and pays taxes on it. Invest in them and stop worrying about investing in yourself.
The next request form is from Charlene Dawson.
My name is Charlene Dawson. I live at 6045 North Main Street, apartment 214. That is Sienna Village. We appreciate you giving us the bus out there. Finally, we have a bus on our end. The only problem is that this bus has a rack in there. The rack it takes up room for other passengers. There are people that can't even ride the bus. This is bus 65. It's the senior route. We need those racks removed so that other passengers, other seniors can get on that bus. The other thing is the first of the month,
It's the store bus.
is the one that takes us to Myers and Kroger. The first of the month is the bus is packed. Now that you've started picking up Sienna Village, there's more people on the bus now. A lot of them have the walkers like I do or a wheelchair. They can't ride. We need another bus also. We have to have another bus. We really do. We need it. But those racks really need to be taken out of there. They take up space. They don't even when people have their grocery carts, they can't put all the carts there because these racks are taking up the space. We really need them removed. But we do appreciate at Sienna Village that you gave us the bus. Thank you.
For what it's worth, the racks were designed with the assistance of the drivers that drive Easy Ride. And the shelf can be folded to take it out of the way, but they actually sought that in the design of the buses we currently use. So we will consult with them as we always do. That's why the rack is there. Because we understand it's difficult to store, especially coming back. There are lots of groceries, there are lots of mobility devices, and lots of people. So the rack was actually designed to help with that.
Thank you for your
That's
comments.
not my time to speak. Just like
The next-
today, bus 65 was so bad. She had to take some of us and then drive back to get some more of us, because she couldn't get another bus.
I'm gonna move on to the next public comment request form, and that is Florence O'Brien.
Yeah, I'm the one who disagreed with you. Okay, I have something to say about the bus.
Would you start by saying your name and
My name
address?
is Florence O'Brien. I live at 4320, Brookview Place, apartment 1022. Mark, I talked to you a couple months ago, and I asked you before you got another bus.
Question should be directed to the board, not to one individual person.
All right, I talked to him, and I asked if we could see the specifications before he got another bus. Now, recently, there was an accident, and there were people hurt. Why aren't there seatbelts on the buses? Instead of a rack, we could use seatbelts instead. As far as Project Mobility goes, the drivers and the passengers are nipping at each other. They're late, they're early. You know, you've got a doctor's appointment at 10:15. Do I have to make arrangements to be picked up at 8:15? My appointment is finished at 10:30, a quarter, 11 o'clock. Do I have to make an appointment to pick me up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? If I had other means of transportation, I can tell you right now, I would tell RTA to go stuck somewhere. And Mark, why don't you resign?
The next request is from April Easterling.
My name is April Easterling. I live at 120 West Apple Street. I just recently started back riding Project Mobility because I go to dialysis. I was on, my dialysis is on Germantown and MacArthur. They pick me up, take me to the VA, take me all the way to Turner Road, take me all the way on Kilby Street, all back down in the boondocks of Kilby to bring me home at 5 o'clock, and they pick me up at 3:20. I'm sick. I'm sick, sometimes I have diarrhea, sometimes I want to throw up. Just riding around, I know it's ride share, but y'all need some kind of empathy. Whoever is making these calls, why would you send somebody way, like they sent me up on Charlotte Springs. After they picked me up on MacArthur and Germantown. They took me on Randolph, on Philadelphia, and they took me all the way to Charlotte Springs to bring me all the way back downtown to the shelter. I'm sick. I don't think they get it. They don't get it. That you're sick and you don't want to ride for 2 hours on no bus. So, but I appreciate Project Mobility because I done rode with Antoine and they done left me at dialysis. Dialysis closed and I was left there. So and they don't come pick me up to take me to dialysis. I have to pay people to take me. So I appreciate Project Mobility because Antoine is awful. I wouldn't recommend them to take me to a funeral because they would be late. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think that's something that needs to be addressed, definitely, as far as the length of time
Well,
that we're talking about.
let me make a few comments.
Okay.
First of all, I'll repeat, as I always often do, if you have a service-related complaint, we would like to hear it the day of the event. One, so we can, if it's on our vehicles, we can capture video, and we can know what the problem is, or if it's with one of our providers, we can react immediately. And I do want to make the comment, We're aware that ridership's growing on the Easy Ride. What I don't think people understand is we have a deficit this year in excess of $2 million in our operating budget. We do not have the money to simply put extra buses out there. I wish we did. We do, however, encourage the operators on that service to call in if it's getting bad, and if we have a Connect vehicle available, we'll send it to help support. But right now, when we've taken buses from people in parts of the county, like the 34 and the 40 and the 41 and the 42 and the 60 now, there's a reason for that. The reason is we don't have enough money to operate that service at the level we did in the past. So that's something, when we say that we have ongoing financial issues that we've got to address, that's the one. It's the big one. But so it's not that simple to just send another bus out there. But we absolutely will do our best to supplement when we can with what we have available. We will do that.
Can someone follow up with her, though, about these missed routes from Anton's to see if we can capture some dates and address that?
April can talk to Sally and Brandon before she leaves, and Roland.
And again, we must stress to call immediately the day of the incident so that we can pull things. Yeah.
So sick, that all you wanna do is blame.
I understand that. I understand that.
And you want to call, but I got the number, it was Monday, and the bus number was 10-70-23.
Okay, well, she'll get with you and get more information. That's the last request for public comment. The next item on the agenda are board comments. Adrian, I'll start with you. You have any comments?
I was just curious, do we have a board, display board anywhere where we display the awards that our staff win?
I'm sorry.
Are we displaying the awards that staff are receiving?
We display some of those, and they display some in their own offices, some of when they receive a personal award.
I was curious because our staff are doing outstanding things.
We do, and some we put in different places, like if we get something that's maintenance related, I believe it should be in the maintenance department where the folks that work back there can take pride in it.
Did a press release go out on Bob's award?
Not yet, it will, it just happened, so
Okay.
I'm sure they're working on it. I don't see any marketing people in here, so maybe they're over there writing it as we
Okay.
speak.
As we speak. That was only my only question today.
Okay, thank you.
I
Franz?
would like to respond to the comment that was made of asking Mark to resign. I would like to say that we as a board think we have the best executive director that any transit authority can have. The complexity of running an organization such as this is an amazing and unbelievably complex undertaking. And the amount of good that is done is also amazing when you hear what has been accomplished and the plans that are forward. We have a visionary as a leader, and we hope and wish Mark much good health and that he stays with us for many, many more years, and that I, as a board member, absolutely disagree with the concept that Mark should resign. If anything, he should be elevated even further. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Dave?
No comments.
Yes, Belinda? No. Sharon?
On behalf of the NCAA First Four Local Organizing Committee, I'd just like to thank the staff here for providing, once again, a stellar transit service throughout the First Four tournament. We had record numbers of people, a lot of activities going on, and a lot of that would not have happened without the support of the RTA.
Okay. It's the last item on the agenda. We're at the point of adjournment. However, I would like to suggest that you look at the meeting, upcoming meeting dates and times. July's may be canceled. However, we do have a board meeting May 7th and June 4th, as well as committee meetings. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll
It's been properly moved and second. We are adjourned.